On the outskirts of Seattle, amidst identical, well-maintained houses, stood a recently built cottage, into which a young couple, Jessica and Tom Harper, had moved. Both worked remotely, and life there seemed calm, measured, and even a little boring. The neighborhood was new, safe, the neighbors were friendly, and in the evenings, the smell of barbecue wafted over the rooftops. The only thing that stood out was the house opposite. Its windows were partially boarded up from the inside, the fence was overgrown with bushes, and the mailbox had long since rusted. According to rumors, the previous owner had died last winter, and the house had never been put up for sale. At first, Jessica didn't pay attention, but after a couple of weeks, she noticed that at night, when she went to the kitchen for water, a faint light was burning in the window opposite. Sometimes the curtain moved, as if someone was walking around inside. Tom laughed. He said she was just imagining things, and that maybe some teenagers had broken in. But soon Jessica stopped laughing. One evening, when Tom was away on a night shift, there was a knock on their bedroom window. Not loud, but persistent. She went over and opened the curtain. Nobody was there. A handprint remained on the glass, as if dirty with smudges. In the morning, the handprint was gone. A few days later, Jessica saw a discussion in the neighborhood Facebook group. Someone is wandering around our neighborhood at night. The cameras don't show faces. Just a silhouette in a black jacket and hood. Tom installed a security camera by the entrance. The first couple of nights, nothing unusual. And then, on the fourth night, the camera recorded a figure crossing the street from the empty house to theirs. The image was shaky, and at exactly 2:47 a.m., the camera switched off. The next morning, they found a black and white photo of their house under the door. Judging by the angle, it was taken from the window opposite. Jessica went to her neighbor, an elderly woman named Mary, who lived on the corner of the street. Mary looked at the photo for a long time, then said, "A man lived in that house. He photographed everyone who lived opposite. They found a whole room full of photographs in his house." "And what happened to him?" Jessica asked. "He disappeared. The police couldn't find him, but that case has already been closed." Jessica decided not to go out at night anymore. Tom laughed, but started staying home. One night, they heard a quiet click outside the window, as if someone was taking a picture. Tom rushed outside, but saw no one. Only footprints on the wet grass leading to the empty house. The police arrived and checked the camera. All they managed to record was a person in a hood standing at their door. By the time the patrol arrived, the footprints were gone. The next day, Tom noticed that the windows in the house opposite were now closed. Before, they had been wide open. He decided to check it out himself. The door opened easily. Inside, it smelled of dampness, and glass crunched underfoot. Dust lay in a layer an inch thick. In the living room there were old boxes, some of them open. In one of them were photographs. Each one showed their house taken from different angles. Jessica at the window on the porch in the garden. Sometimes, sleeping in the semi-darkness. Everything was taken recently. Tom slowly went up the stairs. There was a slight rustling sound on the second floor. The attic door was slightly ajar. He turned on his flashlight and looked inside. In the attic there was a sleeping bag, several cans of canned food, and an old camera on a tripod. The camera lens was pointed directly at their house. A stack of videotapes lay nearby. He dropped the cassette and ran out into the street. The police arrived 10 minutes later. They searched the attic. No one was there. Only footprints leading to the ventilation hatch on the back wall. The couple left the next day, without even taking some of their belongings. A month later, a new family bought the house across the street. The man, while inspecting the attic, found a sleeping bag, food, and an old camera. The film inside hadn't been developed yet. That same night, the new resident's security camera recorded a silhouette at the window, standing motionless opposite. The story repeated itself. A few months after the Harper family disappeared, the house on Willow Street was sold again. The new family, Peter and Laura Milton and their 10-year-old son. They knew nothing about the previous residents. The house was suspiciously cheap, but the agent assured them, just difficulties selling after the death of the previous owner. Everything was quiet for the first 2 weeks, and then Laura noticed a strange detail. The attic was already furnished. There were shelves, an old electric heater, and neatly folded blankets. At first, she thought that the previous owners simply hadn't cleaned it up. But one morning, 2 yogurts disappeared from the kitchen, and the back door was left ajar. Peter blamed the child. But a couple of days later, it happened again. He installed a hidden camera connected to his phone. At 3 in the morning, the phone beeped with a notification. Movement detected. Peter opened the app on the screen. A man in a dirty jacket, with long dark hair, was slowly descending the stairs. He moved silently, as if he already knew every creak of the floorboards. Peter rushed to the stairs, but when he turned on the light, no one was there. The police arrived quickly. They searched the house empty, but in the attic's ventilation duct, they found a bag containing film rolls, old clothes, and a grubby folder. The folder was thick and incy. The police opened the case file on the previous owner, a 54-year-old man named Harold Burton, a former military photographer. He lived as a recluse, suffered from paranoia, and believed that people were watching him. After his wife's death, his mental state deteriorated sharply. Neighbors often complained about flashes of light in the windows and the sounds of a camera. In 2021, he was declared missing. The house remained empty for a long time. Then the Harpers moved in. The examination showed that the food in the attic was no older than 3 weeks, meaning that someone had indeed been living there recently. Laura couldn't sleep at night. She began to notice small things. The phone wasn't where she left it. The curtains were moved in the mornings. A towel disappeared from the bathroom, then reappeared. One day her son said, "Mom, I saw an uncle in the hallway at night. He was standing by the window and looking out at the street." Peter didn't wait. He took his family to stay with friends and called the police again. During a second search, they found a plastic container under the floorboards of the attic with USB drives and a notebook. The notebook contained short entries. "They are good. They sleep peacefully. The woman is afraid. That's right. If you don't make noise, they don't notice." The DNA on the items matched Harold Burton. He had been living in the attics of his former neighbors all this time, moving from house to house after each sale. He used ventilation shafts, crawl spaces, and technical loopholes. Sometimes he would go out at night, eat, take pictures, and spy. A week later, he was apprehended in an abandoned house on the next street. He was hiding in the wall, behind a false panel. He silently watched as the officers with flashlights walked down the corridor. When they led him away, he was smiling and whispering, "Now they're filming me too. See? Now it's their turn." After the arrest, the police returned the found tapes to the journalists. Some of the recordings were dated years earlier. The videos show sleeping families, children, kitchens at night, windows, reflections. One of the last tapes was never shown. According to rumors, it contains a shot of Jessica Harper, filmed a month after she disappeared. She is standing in the window, looking at the house opposite, as if waiting for someone to pick up the camera and press the button.